Let me tell you something, man. Today's going to be one of those days that could be extremely chaotic. The daughter has cheerleading, and one of my daughters is in competitive cheer. Super chaotic, super competitive, going to be very busy. So I thought, what better way to start today than to talk about my origin story? No, but why did I join the Marine Corps? Maybe that will give you help if you're thinking about joining the Marines. Or if you're just, if you're reflecting, if you're kind of doing a retrospective of why you joined the military in the past, or if you had a loved one. So comment down below. If you're thinking about joining the military, you were in the military, and you just want to have like a little retrospective of why you joined, what branch you were in, or a loved one near you, etc., etc. Listen, so it's so crazy because in this video, I'll explain to you why I joined the Marines and why that kind of leans on my perspective nowadays when it comes to how I am as a dad, everyday carry, prep, survival, kind of a little bit of an origin story. And it's the crazy thing is the reason that I joined the Marines is probably not exactly what you think of. Now, I guess like organically, I do have like family heritage that goes beyond that. My great grandfather was in World War II. I don't know exactly what he did in World War II. He passed away in 2010. I never really got to have a conversation about that with him. And I should probably have it with my grandfather while I still have him because it was his dad. But my grandfather was in Vietnam. Matter of fact, he still has a crusty ass piece of cornbread that he got while he was on the ship off the coast of Vietnam before he had to redeploy back into Vietnam. So weird, but my mom was in the Army. She didn't go to the Gulf War, but she was just direct support for the Gulf War. My uncle was in the Marines. I have a cousin that was in the Army. So I got like a lot of heritage for the military. But I think that a lot of people can relate to the fact that I joined the military like a lot of you might have joined the military in the past, which is I joined the military out of necessity. So when I graduated high school, I graduated with a full academic scholarship. I know on these live streams and some videos, you kind of see me shooting the shit and I can't pronounce certain words. I've always been really bad at reading. I've gotten significantly better with my reading, with the way I speak. But when I was younger, I struggled with that. So I strived really hard at it throughout my years. And when I graduated high school, full academic scholarship. So I was going to school. All I had to do was pay for room and board. And I was failing out of everything. I was not focused in college. And so literally by the end of the second semester in college, I was on academic probation. That kind of sucked. That was kind of the first straw that was laid on the back of the proverbial camel. We'll get to the camels here in a second. Next thing, I was working at a couple of places. I worked at Winn-Dixie. That was a supermarket here in Texas. They closed every Winn-Dixie in the state of Texas. I worked at Kmart. I was pushing carts at Kmart. They closed every Kmart in the state of Texas. I worked at Fazoli's. It's a fast food Italian restaurant. They closed every Fazoli's in the Metroplex of Dallas. We still have them in other parts of Texas. Then I got a job at Joe's Crab Shack. So now I'm going to academic scholarship. I'm at Joe's Crab Shack as a bartender. I'm also as a bar back, or what we call in the industry a bar bitch, at a nightclub. So I'm moving, I'm shaking. I get my own apartment. Joe's Crab Shack closes down. Now, not woe is me. This is just me learning life lessons. And I think in a future video, I'm going to just talk about at least the 7 big lessons I learned while I was in the Marine Corps. One of those has to do with this one, which is kind of embrace the suck, or pain is weakness leaving the body. They're kind of correlated. But Joe's Crab Shack closes down. So now I'm failing out of college, or at least I'm on probation. I lose my job at Joe's Crab Shack. The nightclub's not enough money. I get evicted from my apartment. I'm feeling high and mighty. I'm 19 years old, and things are just not shaking how I think they should. Now I go back home to mom, hat in hand, basically groveling because I thought I was big shit. I didn't need her to pay for school. I didn't need her for my apartment at the time. I didn't need her for money. And it all came back around where I might need her to start paying for school, I needed her to stay there again, and I also might need her for money. So, at this time I turned 20, and by this point, I had the ability to talk to a recruiter on my own. They didn't need to talk to my mom. They didn't need permission. They weren't coming to see me out of high school or anything like that. So I got the great idea from my uncle who was in the Marines and from my grandfather who was in the Army to go join the Air Force. They were like, if you join the Army or the Marines, it is going to beat up your body. You're going to hate it. We recommend that you join the Army. I'm like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I don't want to tear my body up. So I go down and I try to talk to a Air Force recruiter, right? So I go talk to Air Force recruiter. Their door is literally locked. The U.S. Navy recruiter is sitting there. He says, well, he's out at lunch, but I'll take your photo and I will look at it for you and see if you qualify. First thing out of his mouth was, how old are you? I said, 20. He said, did you graduate high school? I said, yeah. He knew he didn't need to talk to my parents. Now, I'm not saying that they fooled me or they, bamboozled me, but they got me. Because he explained to me like, well, he'll look at my photo. He was really trying to see if he could use me. And once he saw that I qualified, I wasn't on drugs. I was 6'2", 156 pounds. So I was clearly within the weight standards. Matter of fact, I was probably underweight. And he told me, he said, well, you won't be able to join the Air Force. They're on an 8 or 9 month wait. I said, oh, that sucks. He says, now, if you want, you can join the Navy, but I can't send you off for 3 months. They don't need anybody else for 3 months. The whole U.S. Navy doesn't need anybody for 3 months. That's what recruiters speak for. I met my quota for this month, next month, the month after, but I might need you in 3 months. He's like, but if you're ready to go now, like if you're really ready to go now, I can take you over to my buddy, the Marines, and they might have some spots for you. I'm not sure if the Marines are looking for new people or not, but it's something that you might want to look into. So I knew my uncle was in the Marine Corps. I didn't know a lot about it. All I knew was they took him when he didn't have a high school diploma. This was back pre 9/11 when they were doing waivers because they just could not get enough bodies to join the Marine Corps. And he got a high school diploma from it. He had a great job in IT. So for me, I'm like, well, the Marines must not be that bad. Maybe I should give them a whirl. Went to the Marine recruiter and he asked me, he said, can you do a pull-up? I said, what's a pull-up? Told me what a pull-up was. I did one. He said, you're going to do great. Sent me off to boot camp. But the long story short is I joined the Marines. It wasn't out of a big sense of pride for the country. I grew to appreciate that more. It wasn't because of like a super sense of family, because I did have family that were in the military, but that wasn't the number one reason. It was really kind of out of necessity, and out of that necessity, out of that adversity, I really learned how to deal with hard life lessons. Losing all those jobs, kind of finding myself into the point where I joined the Marines was probably like one of the best decisions for my life overall. And although it sucked, it was really helpful for kind of catapulting me for the rest of my life. In the Marine Corps, I was a contracting officer, contract specialist, which, long story short, I wrote contracts for stuff and things and services. Anything from printers. I wrote contracts for the construction of gymnasiums, wells that went down 200 feet in the ground in Afghanistan, for hogs or goats so that recon Marines could shoot it and learn how to practice sealing up sunken chest wounds, rental cars, anything you can think of, I wrote contracts for. And that life lesson is what led me to getting my bachelor's degree. And I talked about earlier, the camel, right? The proverbial camel that broke the camel's back was when I got evicted. Well, I ended up going to Campbell University for my undergrad, and the Campbell University's mascot is the camels. So it kind of all just like connects the dots and comes back around. And I guess the biggest lesson I learned while in the Marines is just like, and I want to talk about the 7 lessons I learned in another video, but the biggest one that I learned by far, and I think that this is what a lot of people that do everyday carry prep and stuff is, the essentials, embrace the essentials is the basic way I can say it. The 20% yields the 80%. So 20% of the everyday carry prep, all that type of stuff, is going to get 80% of the results. And that last 20% of results that you're not getting, you're chasing that through all the shit that you're buying through everyday carry. Like, that is the easiest thing that I could probably like talk about lessons wise from a lot of folks that are out here kind of just chasing, I don't know, chasing the car. What are you gonna do when you catch that car? Like, does everything that you have, do you think it's gonna really get you that last 20% that you're missing? Is that why you're kind of always out here chasing the everyday carry dream? Like, when you already have a certain amount of tools, do you think that getting more stuff is essential? I don't really know that. I know that the biggest lesson, and once again, you got a freaking dope looking shot there. So a lot of times, guys, when I'm making these things, I'm making a shot. This is a shot of espresso. I do espressos, pour overs, Americanos. Very rarely do I put milk, but sometimes I will do not a cappuccino, but kind of like because a cappuccino is like 2 ounces of this, like a shot of espresso, and then like 10 ounces of milk, and that would never fly with me. So if I ever do milk, it's like 6, 4, 5 ounces at most, but I usually just drink my stuff black. But the biggest thing is the reason I kind of come down hard on, you know, the things we're chasing in everyday carry or other channels, or even the stuff that I do, is that 20% of the things that you have, that's the stuff that's in you, like your physical strength, literally the stuff that you have, your vehicle, the lessons that you learn, they produce 80% of the results in your life. So your pocket knives, your multi-tools, your flashlights, they get basically 80% of things done for you. So when you go chasing after other things around that, you're really just chasing the 20%. I don't know if you can't pound that out through just adversity or making the things that you have already work. That kind of goes for your body. 20% of how I am now, right? Pleasantly plump, about 2 biscuits away. I still can get 80% of the results that I need for my daily tasks, taking care of my kids, getting my job done. Now, do I have stuff, doing this YouTube stuff? Do I have enough left in the tank to get the other 20% done? No. And I can improve that through working out and eating better and getting outside and stuff like that. But I can't get myself there faster. I think that's what the biggest thing, the biggest lessons that we have in EDC is that you're trying to get yourself there faster, or it has become a big old jewelry costume decorations for you. And if that's what it is, I'm not knocking you. Do what you got to do, man. But for me, I take this seriously mainly because I have a family. I have a lot of responsibilities, and I can't blow too much money on stuff. So that's why it's kind of becoming more and more important that I really kind of give advice and give results that make a lot of sense. Because of the Marines, I mentioned getting my bachelor's degree. I followed on to that, and all because of the GI Bill. I got 2 master's degrees. I got a really good job. I teach. I do the YouTube stuff on the side. But I say all that not to brag, but I say it to say that it came because of a life-changing event and because of a big old slathering of focus. You guys that are putting together your kits, whether it be your trucks, your prep, your everyday carry, I don't know if you have enough focus. I don't know if your focus is really locked in. If this is truly a hobby for you, you love collecting the REs, you love collecting the bags, the pouches, guns, whatever, I'm not talking to you. There's no changing your mind. You're going to do whatever you want to do. But if you are really confused by the content that you're consuming on YouTube, on Instagram, TikTok shops, et cetera, because of people like me, I'm telling you, we are only helping you get, well, let me rephrase that. We should be helping you get the 20% that's going to help you do the 80%. There are some YouTubers and content creators, and I am one of them, and I'm trying to no longer be one of them, that force you to go after the other 20%. We force you to do that stuff through purchasing things that you don't need, or you're not ready for, or you don't know how to use. You may see some of my bug out kits, get home bags, and items you have no clue how to use. Pepper gels or hatchets, things that can cut your leg off, things that can light your hair on fire, and you're just buying it because you see it in videos. You're seeing these people with high speed, low drag knives. You buy the wrong millimeter diameter or radius in knife, it's not thick enough for you to freaking hit it with a log. You hit it, it splinters and it goes all into your face. Or you buy a big old tang whopping knife and it doesn't fit your everyday task like slicing fruit. So like a lot of times I want you to focus on the fact that anything you do, for the most part, it's only gonna get 80% of what you need done. And I don't want you to exhaust yourself trying to get the other 20% done. I'm glad I joined the Marines. They tore my body to hell, but I got a lot out of it. I want you to get a lot out of this channel, and I want you to get a lot out of anything that you decide to consume. I try to consume a lot of talk radio, a lot of books, and then tertiary is usually YouTube. If you have them in a different order, I'm not knocking you. But what I am saying is don't let us take you down a rabbit hole. Remember your why, whatever you're doing it for. And if it's because it's a hobby, I'm probably not the channel for you because I don't really do too much hobby stuff. But if it is for the essentials or to learn how to do stuff or learn some life lessons along the way, hit the subscribe button, join the battalion, watch me drink and make some dope ass coffee. Cause my shit is good. If you're already a member of the battalion, I'm not talking to you. Maybe you think about becoming a channel member. I release videos early. Some of these videos I release early. There's a video coming out later on today that channel members are already able to see and you're not. So maybe that'd be something you consider. Also, I do behind the scenes stuff where I show how I put these videos together, and I do call outs during live streams and other little perks. So something to consider. But I got shit to do. It's gonna be a busy day. I'll catch y'all later.